What's up, guys? Fantasy Joe here, back with some more fantasy football content for the 2021 season. And today we're going to be talking about draft strategy heading into 2021 and what current draft strategy I am utilizing based off the 2020 season and what I'm seeing so far of the 2021 average draft position and mock drafts that I've done. So I really don't like necessarily having a hard set strategy, but just in most of my mocks, this is just what I've kind of liked so far. I really enjoyed going RBRB in the first and second round so far this year because it's allowing me for some really powerful combinations player wise with those running backs. And I feel like I'm being able to fill in those wide receiver and the rest of my roster spots later with some high quality talent as well at those positions, and able to get to secure some top running back talent at the top of the draft. And it allows you for combinations like this. So let's say you're drafting in the back of the first round, you can snag somebody like Jonathan Taylor in the first round, Austin Ekeler early in the second. If you're early in the first, you could snag someone like Dalvin Cook and Josh Jacobs. Again, in the late round, Zeke and Aaron Jones. You could snag with someone like Derrick Henry and Cam Akers, Christian McCaffrey and Antonio Gibson. You can mix and match a lot of these guys too. A lot of these are just random second round running backs I tried to match with ADP wise, and some combinations I've been able to um, utilize so far in some mock drafts that I've done. But yeah, I really like all these backs. I just think that being able to snag these guys in the first and second rounds are really going to set you up well for potentially winning a fantasy championship as we move on because of the talent that the wide receiver position has this year. And especially I think we saw last year. If you look at the data and compare the wide receiver numbers from 2020 season last year, which passing was up, but if you compare those numbers to like the 2018 season, I think what we find is that wide receivers are getting deeper, not necessarily better, meaning the wide receiver 36 last year was pretty comparable to the wide receiver 24 in 2018 from points wise. So that tells me the wide receivers are getting deeper, but in 2018 the top receivers at the very top were scoring more points than the top receivers were this year. Like the top 6 were, not the top 2, but there were a lot of receivers back then scoring buckets of points, and then there wasn't as much depth down the way. But now I feel like it's the exact opposite. There's less receivers scoring those buckets of points. The 300, 280s, 270 ranges in points and half point PPR. But the depth is sliding down. The ball is just getting distributed more and more around to everyone equally. I feel like a little bit, and passing is up too. That's a big reason for it. But I think that this is stopping some of those target hog wide receivers that we used to see. And because of that, I really like starting wide receiver. Now there are still I really like starting running back, and taking wide receiver in the third round. Now this doesn't say that there aren't receivers worth taking in the first and second rounds. I love taking Davante Adams or Tyreek Hill in the first round. I think there's as safe a player as it gets, and I would not mind locking that down at all. But this is my optimal strategy because of some of the receivers I've been able to secure in the third rounds and later. So as I said, my strategy with wideouts is I'm trying to snag one kind of alpha receiver, some guy who I think can make a difference at the position, and then I'm looking for a solid number 2 who I can fill in, and I feel like I can get good points from every week. I'm trying to snag somebody I think it could be in that top tier, and I feel like these are 3 guys in that top 6 range. Somebody who could potentially score, go off and, end up being close to the wide receiver 1, top 5 wide receiver, that type of range. Yet you're able to secure them at a wide receiver 10 price or something like that, depending on how your draft goes and, the people reach for quarterbacks, things like that. But I've been able to secure all 3 of these receivers in the third round or later. And I just love when you're able to do something like that for your team, because I just feel like when you start running back, and you're able to secure an alpha receiver like one of these 3, you're really setting yourself up for success. Now, as far as the receivers are Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, and Keenan Allen. Julio has had 1,400 yards each of the last 6 seasons, except in 2019 he had 1,394 yards, so he's 6 yards short of 1,400. And last year he didn't get it because he missed games. But if you just take the games that he played last year, that he started and completed, and put him on a 16-game pace, he would be on pace for over 1,600 yards, almost 7 touchdowns. I don't think he's lost a thing, and I think he can be an alpha fantasy football wide receiver for this next season. He's only 32. I think people are just thinking he's old busted already, and I think they're a year later too, for sure. Next up, we've got Michael Thomas. He's at least 90 receptions, 1,100 yards every year he's been in the league, except for last year when he was banged up and injured, and he's only missed one game coming into his career before this season. He's also secured 9 touchdowns in 3 of his 4 seasons. And with Jameis coming into the picture, I think the sky's the limit for how good Michael Thomas could be. Thirdly, we have Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen averaged over 15 points a game in games that Justin Herbert played last year and was on pace for 181 targets in games that Justin Herbert played. So all 3 of these guys, I think, have top 5 potential. I think if they stay healthy, all 3 of them are going to ball. I feel really secure in drafting them as my number 1 and not having many worries about it. And this is why I really like this strategy so far. This will change, as the draft position goes up. I think Michael Thomas is going to slide up in the second round. But still, I think, let's say you've got an early first-round pick. You can snag a Dalvin Cook and maybe a Michael Thomas in the second round, Antonio Gibson in the third round. That's why I don't think it has to be so round-to-round dependent, or even these players exactly. These are just guys I like so far. But, giving you some options and letting you guys know what I'm thinking. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like down below. Subscribe if you like the content. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.